Hey players. So I've heard of things like having a friend or a family member call you and say there's an emergency to get out of a date. Hell, I've done that a couple of times. And I've also heard of having a coworker call you and say, look, I need you to come into the office expeditiously to get out of a date. But I've never heard of someone calling 911 saying that their date was an ex that used to abuse them to get out of a date. I declare, honey, it's a disgrace. According to reports, 18-year-old Samaya Thomas from North Liberty, Iowa, did just that. Y'all grab your tea and have a seat. Let's talk about it. So according to reports, back on June 16th, just after midnight, 18-year-old Samaya Thomas had a date, honey. She had matched with this guy on a dating app, and he showed up at the property. Well, apparently she didn't want to go on a date with him anymore, so she decided to call 911 and manufacture an outrageous story just to get him off of the property. She called officers of the goddamn law and decreed and declared that the male, who was unidentified at this time, on her property was an abusive ex-boyfriend whose child she was pregnant with. She further claimed that he was threatening to hit, punch, kick, and poke her up over text messages. She also claimed she had known him for 2 years. So when officers of the goddamn law showed up on the scene with the gangster lean, they went to the doorstep to find this man there, and they took him into custody. They reportedly questioned him for about an hour about Samaya's claims. Now, officers on the scene repeatedly questioned Samaya Thomas about these claims that she had known this guy for 2 years and that she was pregnant by him and that he was threatening her via text. Her lies then caught up with her because she couldn't show any evidence to substantiate that. So she eventually confessed that she just got cold feet about going on the date and made up the entire story because she had second thoughts about the date and simply didn't want to go through with it. Now, like I said, they questioned a male for about an hour, and he showed his text message thread showing that he was just eager to meet Samaya and that she had invited him there for a date. So, of course, 18-year-old Samaya Thomas was arrested and charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of false report of indictable offense to a public entity and 1 count of false report 911 call. And she was released from the Johnston County Jail. Now listen, this is absolutely dangerous and despicable. Not only did you make up this whole story, but to make it up that the guy was violent. What if the police would have came there with weapons out blazing, ready for a fight? You know, this is a mistake that should have never been made. She's 18 years old, honey. Hopefully she learned something from this just to get out of a date. This is absolutely disgusting, honey. Call a homegirl and tell them to text you and say you got an emergency. Don't answer the door. But calling 911 and putting somebody in danger that's done absolutely nothing to you is absolutely ridiculous. There needs to be a stamp on her dating profile because this is absurd. All right, players, put it in the comments. This is Double D Mo for the Blind Street News.